Today we're going to be talking about a big Y tool called the SNP checker. And this is a really powerful tool that can give you a lot of in-depth analysis into your Y chromosome. It is a bit of an advanced topic and an advanced tool. And today, the concepts that we're going to be talking about are going to be based on SNPs, mutations, haplogroups, and the Y-DNA reference sequence. So if any of these terms are unfamiliar to you, I would recommend pausing this video and taking a look to learn more about those. There's lots of great resources online. One that I would recommend, a bit partial to it, is the Family Tree DNA Help Center, which can be found at help.familytreedna.com. And in there, you'll find articles that address each of these concepts written by yours truly. So, first off, this is a big Y tool. So to get to it, you'll need to have big Y results. And this tool can be found under the results section here on Big Y on your main dashboard. And when you analyze the results, the end report is going to look something like this. And this can be kind of overwhelming. So first I want to reassure you, don't panic. We're going to cover all of this, and it's really going to help boost your genealogy. Now, one way that you can think about this is as if it's a map to your DNA results. And just like any map, there's a lot of information on it, and it can take a little bit of getting used to understand all of that information. But once you do, it can really be a powerful tool to help you get to where you want to go. So, in order to fully understand the map, you have to understand a little bit about the geography. And in this case, the geography that we're talking about is the Y chromosome. So to put that into perspective, here is a picture of your chromosomes. Now this is an image called a karyotype, and it lists the human chromosomes. And you can see here that they appear in pairs. And that's because for each chromosome, you have one copy that was received by your father and one that was received by your mother. So it's a chromosome pair. So this can, it's a little hard to read because this is an actual image. So here, let's take a look at a diagram of it. Hopefully this will be a little bit easier. You can see that each of the chromosomes are numbered and they each appear in pairs. Now, today we're obviously focusing on the Y chromosome. And that's a special type of chromosome called a sex chromosome. It's what determines a person's genetic gender, male or female. So a male will have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome, while a female will have two X chromosomes. So because of that, the Y chromosome is passed down specifically through the male line, and it can tell us information about that specific male line.
Before we can name and list the three major paternal houses, we must understand these three mutations and understand how we arrive at these mutations and how we grouped everyone. To find the truth, we performed a forensic binary sort on every man on Earth. We ignored the capital letter labels and looked for the most stable, non-negotiable anchors in the code. Think of the Y chromosome as a high-security document. All of the alphabet, haplogroups A through T, consist of minor edits, typos in the margins, but there are three primary seals that act as the master folders. By testing for two markers, YAP and M89, the entire human race naturally sorts into three distinct groups. If you have the YAP seal, you go into folder 1. If you don't have YAP, but you have M89, you go into folder 2. If you have neither, you are the basal negative anchor. This is not guesswork, it is the mathematical reality of the paternal record. We will now strip the regional mask and sort the groups by their stable protocols. Paternal seal / mutation number 1, the basal negative group. We arrive at this group by identifying the men who are negative for both M89 markers. In a forensic audit, negative doesn't mean lacking, it means distinct. They represent the First Nation builders who carry the source code before the later M89 expansion. These lineages are M89 negative and YAP negative. Haplogroups A and B basal C, F, G, H, and K. Science calls these groups African, Asian, or Eurasian to steal the ancient architectural record. We identify them by their paternal stability. Lazardus et al. 2016, Nature identifies basal Eurasians as a distinct non-mixed population. End quote. Our forensic alert for this group, basal Eurasian is an onomastic displacement. In the raw data, these people carry 0 of the M89 signatures associated with modern Europe. They are the YAP negative / M89 negative architects. Do not let the geographic label overwrite the paternal seal. Our next mutation, mutation number 2, the YAP plus insertion. We isolated this group because the Y-alu polymorphism YAP is a binary marker. It's a physical insertion of 300 base pairs that is either present or absent. There is no middle ground. This is a biological seal that cannot be involved into or out of. The mass groups are haplogroups D, E, and a specific group of C. The C label is often used to hide the YAP relatives in the East. The YAP seal proves they are one house, regardless of whether the lab calls them C, D, or E. Let's look at some information from Michael Hammer in 1994. Nature, Hammer identifies the YAP insertion as a specific recent common ancestry marker that defines a unique global family separate from the M89 group. According to Hammer, everything is recent. Nothing is from the time before. It is something current. Gotta love Hammer. Now for our final mutation, mutation number 3, the M89 plus group. Once we filtered out the basal negative and the YAP plus insertion, we were left with the largest remaining group. They are defined by a single letter change SNP known as M89. This mutation acts as a gatekeeper. If a lineage is M89 plus, it belongs to this specific family. The mass groups, the expanded versions of F through T, specifically I, J, and R. Our forensic fact, this group is defined by enlargement. They are the expansionist house that displaced the basal and YAP houses in the historical record. This source information comes from the ISOGG in 2026. The phylogenetic tree confirms M89 is the root for the vast majority of non-YAP lineages, proving they are all branches of one enlarged house. Okay, now that we have pointed out these 3 major mutations and grouped everyone, let's look at the mechanism of deception, conflation, and displacement. The categorical overlap. Scientists take these 3 distinct biological groups and overlap them into a single regional bucket called West Eurasian, African, or Middle Eastern. They hide the fact that basal negative neighbor is of a different father than a YAP plus insertion neighbor, the onomastic displacement. Once the biological signatures are blurred, the names follow. Elam becomes Persia, Kush becomes Africa, and Canaan becomes the Levant. The names of the lands are displaced to match the categorical overlap, effectively evicting the original owners. Our forensic summary for this chapter, chapter 3, by applying the YAP/M89 binary filter, we have proven that the capital letter labels are based on regional overlap, not paternal descent. We have exposed how science uses geography to biologically displace the 3 distinct paternal houses, the basal negatives, the YAP insertion, and the M89 enlargement. The audit is now clear. Geography is the mass, the SNPs is the man.
Keep it secret.
They must never know.
Hurry, the lid! No one can find this.
Of one blood, all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation. Acts 17:26. Imagine the silence after the flood. The world, once full of cities and peoples, is now nothing but a vast emptiness. 3 brothers, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, stand before a land that must be repopulated. Every step they take marks the beginning of a new biblical genealogy. This is not just a story of survival. It is the story of humanity itself starting over after the flood. Genesis 10, the famous Table of Nations, is the map showing how from these three men came all the peoples we know today. Semitic peoples, Canaanites, Europeans, Asians, Africans. Fascinating, isn't it? And here's the detail almost no one talks about. The division of nations was not random. Each of them became a root from which entire civilizations would spring. Shem would carry the spiritual blessing, Ham would bear the shadow of Canaan's curse, and Japheth's descendants would spread to the ends of the earth. Do you see how deep this goes? What began as an act of divine preservation became the very engine of human history. From this point on, every war, every empire, every culture has a direct link to these three men. Now think about this. If all humanity descends from them, what does that tell us about God's plan for the nations? It's as if Genesis is reminding us that despite the diversity of languages, races, and cultures, there is a single point that connects us all, the descendants of Noah.
Now for that biblical lineage, from Abraham all the way down to the time of Solomon and such, and then how it relates to Afghanistan and the Pashtuns and such. So right now, in the Y-chromosome tree, there are branches, haplogroups would be the term, and they're just assigned fairly random or arbitrary letters of the alphabet. T and L are the lineages that I've identified as Abrahamic. They're generally rare in the globe. You can find them all over the place, from sub-Saharan Africa to Europe to East Asia, Middle East, and so on. It's spread far and wide. But based on the specific genealogical details in Genesis 10, Genesis 11, which takes you from Shem down to Abraham, specific male-by-male linkages, and we can count those off in this family tree. Anyway, all that to say, we've got some very strong candidates for Abrahamic lineages. I don't have enough.
Genetic studies of Y chromosomes show Middle Eastern populations sharing common markers that align remarkably well with these biblical genealogies. While we can't prove every connection, the overall pattern is unmistakable. As we begin this series, remember that these aren't just names in an ancient book. These are real peoples, real civilizations, with descendants walking the earth today. In a world often divided by ethnic and religious conflicts, Genesis 10 reminds us of our common origins. Every person of Middle Eastern descent, whether Jewish, Arab, Persian, or Assyrian, shares this heritage through Shem.
Noah and his wife had 3 sons. Ham became the father of the so-called African nations. Shem fathered the bloodline of those who would later become the Hebrews, the chosen people of God. Shem had a lighter complexion, straight silky hair and sculpted features. Japheth became the father of the Gentile nations. Over time, the children of Japheth lost their dark melanated complexions and took on lighter complexions. Shem's descendants are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob became Israel. Israel had 12 sons, who became the 12 tribes of Israel. One of Israel's sons was Joseph. God gave Joseph dreams and made him ruler over Egypt. While ruling in Egypt, Joseph built the altar of God, now known as the Great Pyramid.
As we see, those clips that I played, they were all over the place with misinformation, and that was due to the mixing of descendants and regions. Mainstream science utilizes categorical overlap to claim haplogroups J1 and J2 are the sons of Shem, but there is a massive phylogenetic glitch. Every one of these groups carries the M89 paternal seal. They are the branches of the same expansion tree. Our forensic impossibilities is that both J groups and R1b all descend from the M89 parent block. If Shem and Japheth share the M89 seal, they are the same person, a biological absurdity. Our next piece of evidence for the audit, let's look at the prophetic distinction versus biological reality. Our prophetic ledger. In the ancient record, a unique distinction was placed upon the house. Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, end quote. This mandate requires a biological signature that is set apart from the others. Our forensic glitch is if the house of Japheth, R1b, is M89 plus, and the mainstream Shem J1 and J2 is also M89 plus, there is a zero biological distinction between them. They are the same house. Before we move forward, let's look at a little bit more of their confusion on this topic.
What did God give the descendants of Japheth? Europe. Brain. What's Europe? Western world. The Western world will always control the descendants of Ham, the Arab world. Because Japheth has got the brain, the Arab world has got the wealth. So these people will control them and control their wealth. That's why America went into Iraq and destroyed it. They play games with the Middle Eastern people. They got the brain. What did God give to the descendant of Shem? Now Shem, who came from Shem? Abraham.
And I quote, the Arab world, the descendants of Ham, end quote. They cannot tell who's who. First the Arabs are Shemites and now they are Hamites. What if I told you that there are two different groups of Arabs? Would you believe me? Okay, enough of the side notes. Let's get back to the audit so you won't be confused on who belongs to who like they are. Our next piece of source information comes from the International Society of Genetic Genealogy, ISOGG tree. The ISOGG official phylogeny is the visual proof of the M89's enlargement. It shows that haplogroups, say them with me, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and T. Now I know my ABCs. All branch from a single father node, FM89. This means the Medes, Greeks, and Romans are all part of the same M89 plus house. There is another forensic glitch. Wait, what? They show that groups G through T come from F. This is not a solid biological fact. This is all one massive hypothesis. That's all the phylogenetic tree is. It literally acts as an hypothesis of shared ancestry. Haplogroup F is also actually a brother to these groups, and I will prove it later. There are too many glitches in their system when it comes to these haplogroups. Now, let's give this SNP mutation its proper label, the Highland seal. And we chose Highland seal because M89 identifies the northern neighbors who sat in the Zagros and Caucasus mountains before descending into the tents of the other regional civilizations. We have more sourced information. This time it comes from Brzezinski et al., which just simply means Brzezinski and others in 2016 in Science. This research confirms that the FM89 Highland population was genetically distinct from the coastal populations, acting as the reservoir for the later expansion. Now, let's also do a quick Chapter 4 forensic summary. We have exposed the biological impossibility of the M89 dominated Shemitic tree using the ISOGG tree and the prophetic distinction. We have proven that J1 and J2 are intruders into the Shemitic record. We have identified the M89 paternal seal as the watermark of the Highland neighbors, proving that the true set-apart house must carry a different marker found in the indigenous, air quotes, Levant, and scattered remnant who are now numbered as the sands of the sea. I told you guys it was going to get good, and it's about to get even better. Stick around, hit that like, share, subscribe, and comment in the comment section if you're loving this audit.